9 months, 50 applications, 3 interviews, no offers. That's not just one person's story, it's the reality for thousands of job seekers in 2025. Welcome to the Tell All series, where I shine a light on what's really out there in 2025 for job searchers. The landscape has shifted. Jobs now demand combinations of unrelated skills rolled up into one job, which is how the term unicorn came about. Most applications disappear into an online black hole. And if you're lucky enough to land an interview, you're hit with mostly irrelevant technical tests, exhausting panel interviews, one round after another, often asking the same technical questions. Then, after all is said and done, there's silence. No feedback, no responses, no anything. And this is all done over a cold camera lens. Gone are the days when a handshake, eye contact, and a little human connection could open doors. No, that's virtually extinct now. By the time you even meet in person, if you ever do, many worthy candidates have already been cut. While you're jumping through hoops and fighting tooth and nail for the few jobs that are left, more jobs than ever are quietly being offshored to India or taken over by AI. And big tech companies, they're profiting unbelievable. So, as you could expect, I did invite hiring managers as well because I want to hear their side of the story. I think it's important for us all to hear their side of the story. Why do you pass on people? What makes you hire them? What makes you pass? We want to hear that. So I'm going to keep trying to reach out to them, and hopefully we can get one or two people to come forward to tell their side of the hiring manager's story. So until that happens, I'm going to bring you unfiltered stories of 3 candidates that were brave enough to come forward and to share their journey with us. These aren't numbers in a report. These are real people with real families, bills, and very much concerns about how to survive. They have a lifetime of skills that should be valued and not ignored. We'll start with story 1. We're going to call him John. John's been out of work for over a year. He's a senior IT leader with decades of experience. But in 2025, that's often seen as a liability, not an asset. His recent search, dozens of applications, very few callbacks, and when interviews finally happen, the process drags on for months. One technical interview stands out in particular, he says. Hyper-technical questions with very little to do with the actual role. And then, after all that, silence. Sometimes silence after one call, sometimes after 6 hours of long interviews. John's takeaway, it's not a lack of skill. It's a broken system, one that prioritizes perfect keyword matches over proven leadership and weeds out experience before it's ever been seen. Financially, he's feeling the pressure. Emotionally, he's staying grounded. But after a year, it's hard not to wonder, how many more hoops will I have to jump through before someone sees my true value? Thanks, John. We're going to move to story number 2 to keep this rolling. We'll call this candidate frustrated professional. That's the term he used. This gentleman, an economist with nearly 6 years of federal government experience, based in the suburbs of Detroit. He spent years analyzing billion-dollar infrastructure and environmental projects, running high-level econometric models, briefing everyone from generals to member of Congress. The kind of experience you'd think should open doors anywhere. Earlier this year, he left his role when a new administration took over. Layoffs were coming. A rigid return to office work policy was enforced. 5 days a week was a must, and they were only given 1 week's notice to make this change. As a single parent who had just moved 30 miles from the office and leased a vehicle with mileage limits, it wasn't doable for him. He made the tough choice to leave while he still had a paycheck and health insurance. He thought he was buying time. It's now August 2025, and he's been out of work for 7 months. Since then, he's applied to over 100 jobs: economist roles, data analysts, program managers, defense work, nonprofits. He's just had 2 companies that have been interested in him, and more tests and assessments than he can count. One process dragged on for 3 interviews over 3 months. Wow, that's an interview a month. He didn't get the offer. The irony: the person they hired left. The role is open again. The feedback he gets is he's not technically proficient enough, despite presenting modeling results for billion-dollar studies and writing complex government reports. Companies want exact software matches, he says, even for jobs that pay far less than previous salary. Some want PhDs and 5+ years of experience for $60,000. That's not even going to cover student loans. The impact, emotionally, he's running on fumes. The anxiety is constant about insurance, bills, feeding his kids. He hides the fear from them, but it's getting harder to do. He's angry at a system that ignores real people, that judges candidates by software instead of by their capabilities. He's even started to apply to retail jobs just to get benefits. Oof. While building a side hustle, writing books to create a future safety net. In his words, you can teach someone a system, but you can't teach loyalty, drive, or passion. The people who lift morale, show up every day, and give it everything, they're being ignored right now. Thank you, Frustrated. Appreciate that. Let's move right along to story 3, and we're going to call him Rick. Rick holds a master's degree in industrial engineering, but he made his mark in software development, managing teams across multiple industries for most of his career. He even took a break to run a music school as a passion project. Then he returned to tech. He reskilled through online courses to keep up with massive industry changes: DevOps, unit testing, infrastructure as a code, and now AI. When his last company shut down his business unit, Rick was laid off. It's now August 2025. He's been out of work 8 months. Since then, he's been searching for roles like manager, director of software engineering, product owner, solutions architect, and even technical project manager. But no matter how many roles he's applied to, he hasn't made it past the first round. And even when interviews happened, about 60% of the time, they end up in ghosting. And real feedback is non-existent. One interview in particular stuck out to him. An interviewer asked theoretical design pattern questions. He hadn't reviewed that in years. He brushed up afterwards, but of course, it's too late then. The real frustration he's experienced: the companies that claim they hire for culture and teachability, but then reject candidates if they aren't a perfect keyword match. The impact: emotionally, Rick is holding it together by compartmentalizing, staying active, but financially it's getting harder. At his age, he knows some will see him through the lens of age bias. Despite his constant effort to stay current, he sets daily learning goals, spends every day upskilling, especially in AI, to stay competitive. His message to other job seekers: you're not alone, keep active, work the job boards, I've been here before, you're going to be okay. And his message to companies: live up to your own talking points. If you say you hire for culture and teachability, do it. The system is broken and we need to fix it for both hiring managers and for candidates. I'm going to leave you with this. In 2025, experience has become something to hide, like a scarlet letter. Instead of celebrating the people who've adapted, survived, and delivered through decades of change, the system treats them as expendable. Warren Buffett says there are 3 qualities to look for in a person: integrity, intelligence, energy. And if you don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. I'd argue our hiring process has lost its integrity. We say we value teachability, adaptability, and culture fit, but then we reject candidates who don't match every key word. Ghost people after 6 hours of interviews. Let algorithms and lazy interviewing make the call. Here's the truth. It's easier to check boxes than to check for potential. And that's why great candidates are slipping through the cracks daily. Being in IT today, it's a lot like being a pro athlete. You only get so many years before the industry decides you're done. The enemy isn't age. The enemy is stagnation. And the people in these stories, they haven't stood still for 1 minute. If even one hiring manager sees this and decides to call back somebody that they ghosted, or maybe give an older candidate one more shot, then maybe, just maybe, we're making a little bit of progress. Because this isn't just about jobs. This is about dignity, and dignity doesn't have an expiration date. Thanks for listening. Know this, I'll keep showing up for you. I'm going to keep advocating for you. Every story matters, including yours. Thank you for listening. Be careful out there.